right, good morning. Ooh, let's not do that one. Y'all know how it is when you start something and then you want to be timely if nothing else. So, good morning, good morning. Pretty sure we're going to have a couple of people hop on, and I am not sure, guys, what time it is. But leaning out of bed this morning was interesting. So, I give a couple of minutes for people to kind of log in, and then, oh my gosh, I know some of you ladies have been up all night. Honestly, I did not go to bed last night until probably about 2:45 this morning. So for all of my business people, which is probably 99.9% of us, you know how sometimes you think you're going to do one thing and you keep saying, I'm going to go to the workshop and just do one item, one more. And yeah, that one more turns into a 7-hour shift. That's what last night turned into. So from remelting the wax melts to doing a couple of the aroma bee fresheners last night. Oh, I did the one thing I don't like doing, which is printing labels and UPC codes. But give me a second. There's one more thing I need to grab before we start, and then I will be ready to start, guys. I definitely believe in starting on time. I want to value your time this morning. So give me just a sec. All right. Well, we got about 4 or 5 minutes. So my early birds, my early ones, what are you guys working on right now? It's almost a season. I know spring is coming around. A lot of people have started with spring fragrances. I'm still working on those dessert candles, was a big one for me. So that's one. And I'm also looking at adding another fragrance and trying to figure out which two I want to rotate away from for a couple of weeks. So what are you guys working on this morning? Pretty sure you're not up this morning for nothing. Good morning, Miss Ashley. Good morning, Miss Johnson. Give another 60 seconds and we're going to hop in this morning. If you have not had a chance to see the title for this live, which I don't think you probably will be able to, but finally I had to narrow down this topic, y'all. It's been a full week. It's been a really, really full week with comments and emails and DMs. It has been amazing. But what I ended up just kind of focusing on were those 3 Ps. Those 3 Ps are bouncing back: packaging, product, and production. Those are probably the 3 I think I have gotten the most feedback on all week. It's probably the 3 topics where I hear people when they get really, really shaky and they don't necessarily want to admit that this is an area that is not my forte. And we're going to talk about ways to approach that one too. So feel free to ask away. I have another announcement that's coming a little bit later that is also in the title. So we're going to be talking about the Candle Academy. I've had a lot of extremely newbies, people who definitely want to jump into this before the Mother's Day wave, that are just trying to figure out what wax to test, what wick to test. So even if you just started a week ago, 2 weeks ago, guys, when you hop in a group, give your advice. Like, just throw a tip out there, because there are a lot of times when you will say something that someone else just hasn't thought of. So I definitely want to do that. But grab a drink. We are about to get started this morning. Hopefully everybody's keyboard is nicely warmed up, and we'll see how this is going. Ooh, flea markets. I am really, really hoping that our craft season picks back up. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Craft fairs are my favorite. Like, I have driven up to 3 hours actually from my location just to do a 1 or 2 day fair. And some of those have been extremely popular. I love meeting the people, getting opinions. It's where a lot of my fragrance suggestions have come from, just being out at fairs, meeting different groups of people, and they'll make a suggestion, and honestly, it will turn into one of my absolute best sellers in the upcoming season. So, especially for you. So when I start talking about production and how much, and please chime in, because I definitely want to know. I definitely want to know. Good morning, Warm Spirit Candles. I was checking you guys out on Instagram, and we'll talk about feeds and engagement too. So hopefully somebody will remind me, because it's definitely important that everybody is engaging with each other. But the other thing is there's a little trick to that algorithm that's kind of funny, and I want to see and get everybody's opinion on it, because me and Instagram are doing good, but yeah, social media is one of those. All right. I think I'm also going to do a giveaway. I'm really tempted to do, I'll go ahead and do it now. All right, let's start. Good morning, everybody. It is Chandria from BCJ Decor coming to you with episode 4. And we're going to do a revisit on packaging, but we're also going to take a look at all 3 Ps. So we're talking packaging, profits, and production. And I'm probably not going to go in that particular order, but this is definitely one of those where I would love for everyone to chime in. Before I start, thank you for everyone that commented on the last episode. Thank you for the emails, the DMs, the messages. I have enjoyed reading your posts, answering back, going back and forth. Thank you for the people who gave me tips. I love my people with corrections, because the way y'all worded those were nice, y'all. I'm feeling it. I'm working on it. I tell my students all the time, professionalism is a skill. It's something you have to learn to do. You have to learn how to take good feedback, because there are some people that can give you some amazing feedback. So you want to be open to it, because those are the tips that make you better. So there is a big announcement for BCJ Decor. I will make this now and again at the end of the video. I've had several people that are extremely new to candle making. They've just made this decision. They're in the middle of walking through Joann's or Hobby Lobby, and it's, I want to pour candles. I had a young lady who, in her area, she's only able to buy wax by the case. Y'all, by the case, it took me a while. So you heard me talk on the last video when I first started pouring. You walk in and there are a number of waxes to pick from. And all of my soy people especially, you have to figure out, do I want the nature wax? I started personally with joy wax. I went to Nature's Garden. I had heard quite a bit about it, watched a couple of YouTubers who use Nature's Garden. And by the way, I love some of their fragrance oils. Nature Garden was amazing. They carried Joy Wax. And if you have never used Joy Wax is this creamy, it almost reminds you of like a coconut, a pure cold pressed coconut oil or coconut butter that you would put on yourself. Joy Wax was, oh my gosh. But when I tell you for a case was $119, I think at the time, maybe $125. But I said, hey, it's 55 pounds of wax. I'm loving it. And then as many of us have figured out, especially the last couple of weeks, oh my gosh, the shipping, y'all, the shipping costs. It's taking my breath away. So by the time Joy Wax went from Nature's Garden and finally made it to my front door, I was looking at 100 and maybe 52, 53 bucks just for wax, just for one case of wax. And that's one thing I've been seeing all week, where you're able to purchase wax for $70. But the shipping on the wax is $45. And that's a big one to kind of swallow at this point. So I'm loving Joy Wax. It's creamy. I'm not getting sinkholes, and be careful as the weather changes, y'all. Your wax sometimes will kind of do its thing. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happens, but Nature's Garden is out of Joy Wax. And it's at this moment where I start having orders come in, and I am absolutely panicking, because it's different when you're pouring a couple of candles for a family member, maybe 1 or 2 candles for a friend, but I lucked up and got a large order. So I had a young lady who was getting married. She wanted like 80 candles for all of her tables, and she wanted them to be, nicely fragranced, because they were going to end up being the takeaway gift at the end of the night. So that was going to be your nice little souvenir with their name on the front. Really simple fragrance, nothing over the top, go to Nature's Garden. All right, my first 85 candle order and 80 candle order, and boom, no wax. Wait a couple of days, maybe they're just having a moment, truck didn't come in. All right, 6, 7, 8 days later, no wax. So I sent an email. Y'all know how small businesses are. We will email you and talk to you like, and they're like, well, there's a production issue. There's been some problems with a portion of the wax, so we had to send everything back. And right now, we're probably looking at a 2 to 3 week delay. Y'all, delay. Delay is what we're experiencing right now when you're trying to find a jelly jar that 8-ounce jelly jars are like on a vacation somewhere. But to not have wax for a candle maker that has a large order, and I was blessed enough to say smaller orders were still coming in. First lesson I learned is be careful with your production. Be careful with that. What it takes for you to produce your product is a must, and it's something that you want to keep on hand. I have learned that when I'm pouring candles, the number one question I would get is, number one, do I store candles in my home? Absolutely. I do not have a lot of space, so I have to be really careful. Out of the number of fragrances, for example, I can pour up to 40 fragrances. Do I pour all 40 at a time? The answer is no. So somewhere in between 25 to 40 fragrances is what I'm actually pouring on a regular basis. And you will notice even on the websites of different businesses, they're going to rotate what's available and what's not. Guys, as a small business, you do not have to be afraid to say, currently, we are sold out of that fragrance. If you want to blame it on production, we're waiting on shipping, we're in the middle of a pandemic, I hear it all the time. But honestly, if you have even noticed, Amazon Prime for many items is no longer 2-day shipping. Yeah, we're paying for that Prime membership and that 2 days. But guys, I've had packages it's taken a week and a half to get. And they're coming from like New Jersey, Montana. It's not like I'm ordering from Australia or something. There's no, cargo ships. But you can't pour like Amazon. So I keep, up to 6 of each wax melt on hand. So if I'm pouring that fragrance, whether I'm pouring a pomegranate, a leather, monkey farts, whatever it is I'm pouring, I try to keep 6 of those. And those are the first ones you're going to see on the website. The same for my 8 ounces and my 4-ounce jars. I got an example. Y'all know it's coming. So go and take that sip, tea, coffee, water, whatever you got. All right, one of the first emails I got on Wednesday morning. And I only remember it's Wednesday because, Wednesday is hump day, y'all. It's midweek. It was a Wednesday before spring break. So it's like, I had a young lady who's trying to decide how much inventory she should keep on hand. She did her grand opening about 2 weeks ago. She sold out. She was feeling really good because she started out with 100 candles. And now she's like, well, I'm getting orders, but I've had to turn orders down because I don't have candles on hand. No, ma'am. There's no turn orders down. We're going to go ahead and do the pre-order. We're going to pre-order because people do it for their PlayStation 5. We're going to pre-order because I have pre-ordered everything from speakers to Cajun food at this point. Guys, it won't take me that long to pour that candle. And that's just being honest. So my next question was, well, the first 100 you sold, what percentage of that was to people that you didn't know? Because you're trying to figure out what, again, that marketing. Who am I reaching? Am I still only hitting friends and family, or have I expanded beyond and actually gone to people that I don't know? Because when I'm able to engage, and all of you guys know this, whether someone reaches out to you via Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Clubhouse, whatever method they're using, when someone reaches out to you who does not know you, the number one thing you want to figure out is, how are you able to locate our candle company? Where? Because some of you have Etsy ads, Facebook ads, like you are paying out of pocket to move candles. And for some reason, it's not happening. So she sold 100 candles. It's 2 weeks later. She's finally stopped turning down orders. And now that she's caught up, her number one nagging question is, how much inventory should I keep on hand? She decided, like a couple of people, there's this magic number called 25. I don't know where you store 25 candles at your home, but guys, if I did 25 each, 25 of each fragrance, of each size, the sheer amount of money that is looking at you is a lot. And there are some of us in this group who are moving mass inventory. Like some of you ladies and gentlemen are like bossing it out, and I am all about it. I want you to hop on and share all this week about being able to move volume and what you're doing to move volume. But for someone, honestly, who is trying to get herself to a situation, I want to maximize passive income. I want my money to make money when I sleep. I want to make money even when I'm not pouring candles. So I need to offer different products to all of my customers and clients. But the other thing is I have to be very mindful about how much inventory I have on hand. If you have not started keeping up with your inventory, this is a perfect time. Even if you start with just the visual side of it, I can see visually how many of each I have, which is going to encourage me to grab my phone, grab my laptop, open up a spreadsheet, a Word document, and put that down on paper. I need to know how many of each I have. If I am not moving 25 units of a particular size or fragrance, I need to know that. One question I got this week is, how do you know what fragrance you do and do not pour? If it's not moving at my retail location, there's no need for me to continue to pour it. If it's a heavier scent and I realize it's not moving, then hey, I'm going to stop pouring that one and move to another one. For my early birds, you heard me say this morning, for every one fragrance that I take out the store, every one fragrance I'm putting in the store, I'm going to take out 2. And it keeps me from having clutter. If you have a client that walks past a display and it's the exact same every time they enter the store, you're going to notice that your sales will decline. So keep that in mind. Production is huge. The other thing is there are certain parts of your business you don't want to run out of. When I make it to the box of wax, let's just take that one. I was pouring probably about 4 months before I ever bought my first case of wax. And I remember the first night coming home with 55 pounds of wax compared to that 10-pound slab and really thinking to myself, how long is it going to take me to go through this much wax? That first box, it didn't take that long. We're talking about maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And in my world, y'all, 3 weeks was not that long. Now I can sit and pour a case of wax, honestly, within a night, maybe a day and a half, if I am really chomping it out after work. So keep that in mind. Do I run out of wax very often? The other answer is no. Always have more than one supplier, because our suppliers even were having a hard time getting things in due to the pandemic. So production is always a big one. The other one that came up was we went back to packaging. That's another one. I don't know whether dream vessels are on sale. I don't know whether Leon vessels, which is, they're based off these bowls that you find in like Europe, like throughout Europe. They're beautiful marble-like bowls. They are gorgeous, guys. I don't know whether those are suddenly on clearance, but I have a young lady who reached out and she is using custom ceramic made bowls. They're being made with her business initials imprinted into the jar itself. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. They are marbled on the outside. They have the vein of gold going through, guys. They are absolutely breathtaking. They are also $17 per vessel because she is buying them at a cost that is still not considered wholesale. $17 per vessel. The company or the small company that she's purchasing these from, they require a minimum purchase for businesses of 24 vessels. She was currently selling her all 100% natural. She even uses essential oils in this candle. This vessel is holding almost 8.5 ounces of wax. She was selling the candle for $25. Packaging and profit are tied together. I will say this again, over and over again. Before you ever print a label, before you ever decide on your vessel type, I want you to be very, very mindful of the quality of product that you are putting inside of that vessel. I saw someone who made choices that were amazing. They were beautiful, but they were not ready for her and she wasn't ready for them. The time wasn't right. She has been pouring 6 months. It's been, she's gone through quite a few candles. She's placed several orders with the same company, $17 per vessel with a $25 price, which means that $8 did not account for shipping, wax, wicking, transport, none of that. And what she realized slowly when she sat down and I said, let's just do a cost analysis, number one. But then let's just take a look at the volume that you've moved already. Compared to what she was bringing in, comparing that to what was going out, it wasn't close. Her lunch was nice. She ended up selling out. She did pre-orders, so she kept the flow of business. But so far, especially between the months of February to today, she's gone from maybe having 15 sales or so per week, going down to 1 or 2 per week. The product itself, it created issues over time because one of her vessels, she had to be mindful because of the way that it was made at the bottom portion. The color that they put in, she found was seeping into her wax. Something you wouldn't know until that candle has actually been sitting for a while. I've seen people who are, they're product ready. Like the outside of that product looks amazing. The packaging is ready. The lighting is ready. The photography is there. And then they come to you and they ask, well, what's the best website for me to use? If I have already paid a photographer $600 to come in and make it happen, guys, that website was already started. If you have Square, you've already paid for a website. I'm saying it again. If you have Square, if you're using Square to take payments, you have already paid for a Wix website. There are some of you guys that have a PayPal account. I need you to go back because some of you are paying for a paid membership that goes with PayPal and you haven't even thought of it. You're paying for a website that you have not used. For a few of us, you have even a web page that you've started or you paid someone to start for you, but you don't have content to put on there. So most crafters, their least favorite part of a business is having to stop, take pictures, package items, and place on UPC codes, stickers, or pricing labels because it doesn't feel creative, but it's necessary. There's nothing that I can put on the shelf that has not been packaged and it does not have a code on it. That's just how it works. If you're looking at Amazon Marketplace, if you're looking at selling through Walmart, it's the same thing. And Walmart even forces you to charge. They charge for that code that goes on your product. You have to order those. So when you're thinking about it, I don't want to spend so much time on paying someone to print my labels, paying someone for a custom vessel, paying someone for a custom top. I have a young lady wear the lids to her jelly jars. I was all excited. If you use jelly jars, that's awesome. But the lid that goes on her jelly jars, she had it custom made. The lid itself were $2.10 each. The lid. So you put a $2.10 lid on a 30-cent candle, which I have no issue for, because to me, I was waiting on her to say, hey, this is going to be either my luxury line or my mid line, and this candle is going to run somewhere between $20 and $30 each. These are 8-ounce candles. So I'm thinking, lowest price, my 8 ounces for my regular fragrances are about $13 because of cost, but I don't do specialty lids. So if I add in the lid, I'm thinking $17 easily. No, her candles were $9 each. $9 for an 8-ounce candle that is wicked, custom topped, labeled, and labels are full colored. I have seen more full colored labels with golden and silver inlay this week than ever. Some of us are getting caught up on packaging and not the product on the inside. If you are experiencing any turnaround, so let's say you really have in mind what you want to do. You've started doing markets. You started doing retail. You've been on the road. So November and December, y'all, are the most amazing months ever. If you've ever started a business, honestly, in October, November, or December, you're going to realize that your sales are just off the charts because it's holiday time. You get to January, you're doing pretty good. You're still getting sales because people are still making a move. And then you hit February, you hit March, and it dries up. And I have seen people just absolutely lose it. Like, what should I do? So, and I ask you guys in the group, for those of you who have been pouring for a year or even for 6 months, what's the number one thing that you do during the slow months? So if you get to a couple of slow days, slow weeks, kind of share with me in the comments, what do you guys do during those slow periods? Oh, Miss Cynthia, pillar candles, sizes 3.4. If we're looking at 3.4 ounces, which I'm assuming is what you're asking me, that's a little bit more than what will go into a clamshell. So honestly, right now for my wax melts in clamshells, because I think this holds like 3.1 ounces of wax maybe. These are $7. So if you have a pillar candle, especially if it's palm feather, so it has those cute designs, if you're adding anything to the outside of it, depending on how you package it, if you wrap it in jute or put anything around it, anywhere, man, easily from $9 to $11. Try to have sales during the time and try to get rid of products. All right, I see Miss Brittany says during her slow times, she'll try to have sales and also get rid of product. I have a question for you guys. Have you ever thought about, for example, sometimes when I have wax melts that have not sold, and I will go ahead and remove that fragrance from the shelf. And I've noticed, you know, you put it on the list because sometimes it's popular in the spring, but not in the fall. What I've started doing is seeing if I can take those fragrances and mix them together to create a unique fragrance. And that's how I came up, for example, with my Drunk Leather. That's how I came up with Texas Spirit, is taking two fragrances that are pretty reminiscent of one another, or they make me feel a certain kind of way, and I combine those into one solid product. And what I would do is in my retail area or on my website, I'm going to offer those limited exclusives. When people see limited time offer, exclusive line, summer line, like something that I only have a finite amount of, that's one of the ways I'm able to get rid of those products. Here's another one. And somebody else share. I see Miss Brittany share. What else do you guys do during those slow periods? You know how most of us are testing candles. And let me grab this one as an example. So, for example, this is Japanese Cherry Blossom. It was actually one of the suggestions from a client of mine who loves the fragrance. And honestly, I had never smelled it, y'all. Had no idea. So I'm in the fragrance, I'm in the candle store going through some things, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So if you can see, I still use the 8-ounce jelly jar. If you watch Stanley Handcrafted, I believe he still uses the same jelly jar. And you can see these honestly priced anywhere. I've seen them from $8 all the way up to almost $20. So it just depends on where you are. I chose the rust-colored lids because that was personally one of my favorites. When you're testing a candle, don't forget, it's not always necessary to fill up the entire candle. What you're looking at is how the wax itself is interacting with the wick. That's what you're paying attention to the most. The other thing is, I place these over a pan in the oven or sit them in a pan in the oven. I will melt this wax down, pour it out, and reuse the jar. I've seen a lot of people for testing that use a brand new jar every single time. No, ma'am. Jars are not free. Limit yourself to a case of jars and make sure that you're only using that case for testing. Because if you think about it, that will allow you to test 4 fragrances 3 different ways or in 3 areas of the house. I normally pour a pound of wax and I will turn around and place it in 3 different areas. Candles in my bathroom, candles compared to the living room, the kitchen, do not burn in the same direction because I'm thinking about where my vents are. I know that we tell clients all the time, and that's the other thing. We give warning cards and warning labels, all of those things. This is something else that's going to tie into your production and your profit margin. Some of you are preaching to your testers and preaching to your clients not to burn their candles all the way down to the bottom. I have super burner customers. I have some customers that will literally let that candle burn from 7 a.m. until they go to bed at 10, 11 p.m. at night. Yes, that warning label tells them no more than 4 hours. I know, I get it. Yes, if you have a wooden wick in there, it will usually self-extinguish. But most of us, some of us are still working with our nice little cotton CD8s, CDN wicks, RRDs, zinc wicks, whatever you're working with. You want to always repeat to your clients, put it on your website, put it in your packaging. It's a reminder, and it's all you can do. These don't have the warning label on the bottom, but that label, honestly, if you are sued, it's sad, it's required, but it doesn't do a whole lot for you. You're going to have clients that make that happen, and they're going to send you pictures of this is what happened to my vessel at the very end. Or they're going to end up with a cracked jar that you hope doesn't burn their house down. Guys, when you are pouring, keep that in mind. And it's being honest with a client. The other thing that I noticed beyond having your packaging, when you're thinking about what name, what label, what direction to put your name on your product, I want you to visualize once again your client. Who most likely is going to walk by? If it is grandma who is walking by, who is your number one customer, grandmama cannot read size 7 font, as cute as it may be. If your client is younger, I am here to tell you, for my students who are under the age of 30, because I have several. The first high schoolers I ever had are now 30 and 31. A lot of my babies cannot read cursive, y'all. I know. Cursive is cute. It is amazing. It is beautiful. So when you are explaining the notes, if your name is in cursive, you may want to do the explanation of what the product is in print, because you will be amazed at the people who do not understand your packaging. The other thing is, depending on what state you are in, for those of you who you have the product, you've done your testing, you've been able to pre-launch or do a soft launch and bring in some clients that you're communicating with. So you're making a little profit from that one. And you have solidified your packaging. And now you're ready to take it to the step of getting an LLC. Or you decided, I want to incorporate myself, or I want to be a sole proprietorship. However you want to do that legal move, keep in mind that based on what state you're in, that's going to be different. For my California people, you guys have some fees that blow your mind. Here in Texas, not so much. So even when you're getting your sales tax license and everything together, I want you to very much so keep in mind exactly what you're working on and what you're doing. Those are expenses you still want to track, because those are expenses at the end of the year that you can also write off. Now, sometimes these mornings can be a little rough. Here's something else I was wondering. How do you feel about decorative candles? Should all candles be functional? And I think that's another area I've been kind of toiling with. I've seen a lot of candles that look amazing. And I know that there are a lot of people that use embeds, dried flowers. I've seen gems, different types of quartz rocks, and everything go into candles. And I have a couple of people that are toying with creating solely decorative candles. But then their back concern is, well, what if my client buys the candle and they don't really read the label that says, hey, this is decorative, and they burn it and something happens? I don't know. And it's one of those topics. I usually create functional candles. I love to burn candles. I burn them on a daily basis. It's something where in my home, I can easily have 2 or 3 candles going at a time, because I have people walking in and out. But when I start seeing different products that you're putting in your candles, I want you guys to kind of be mindful. I asked a young lady who has gorgeous candles. Like, they are absolutely beautiful. She was working on this blackberry cobbler candle. And it was definitely a blackberry color. Like, it was super dyed in. The color was spot on. It had embeds in it. The little crust was there. It was gorgeous. And one of my first thoughts is, number one, you don't see a lot of black candles that actually burn. And so I messaged her and she was like, well, what do you think? It looks amazing. Have you tested the candle? And the answer was no. When she went to work on those, it was one that she really struggled with. And she kept trying to figure out, the nicer she could get the candle, the less it would burn. And so I finally asked her, I said, well, are you making these for solely being decorative or those that actually are functional? And it was something she had never thought about because she was a decorative kind of person, but she kept running into people who they wanted that candle to fully burn. Personally, I love how they look. Like, I love the ones that look like cheesecake, and y'all, like, people love the embeds, the prettier candles, especially during the spring, especially for weddings and birthday parties. So if it's something you have not thought about, I want you to think about that. But the one thing I will say, they really make you think about your containers. How versatile are your containers? Are you only buying that one size of jar because that's all you plan on using? Or are you keeping in the back of your mind that this business is going to evolve for you? How many different ways can you use that wax? I have some people that are doing just wax melts only. And it's one of those where when you hone in on your fragrance, on that hot throw of that wax melt, that's an amazing thing. And when you expand out, when you move to a candle, there are very small differences, but you're taking that wax and you're being allowed to use it for another person. I see where Warm Spirit Candle says your embedded infused candles stay sold out. They do. They do. Embed candles, I'm not sure how a lot of people price them because some of the work that goes into those candles, if you guys have never seen them, search on Facebook for, like, just for example, dessert candles. They're amazing. Like, they just look so enticing. But I've seen so many that after they test burn them, especially for newer people, they're not crazy about how they look. And I'm like, but it's about the smell. Like, at the end of the day, it's about the product that's inside of your packaging. That is what will bring back your clients over and over again. Last but not least, guys, don't get caught up in what you're putting inside of your box during shipping. I've had a couple of comments, and if you've had breakage during shipping, definitely share out what you guys are doing that's a little bit different. I had about 6 or 7 people this week reach out because their product is burning fine, it's selling fine, but when they ship, they're ending up with broken candles each and every time. Now, I'll be honest, when you open a case of jars, you know how you have the cardboard dividers that are on the inside? For larger orders, I keep those in there. I ship normally either through the post office or I use Pirate Ship, but it still goes to my little post office down the street. And I know USPS is not always the most gentle with their packages, but thankfully, I have only had one candle break in the last year and a half of just shipping out. And I will start by shipping to different family members in different states just to see, hey, can you take a picture when the candle arrives so I can see what it looks like? So beyond like the confetti and adding in the extra gifts, be mindful of what will this packaging look like after it's sat in a warehouse for 1, 2, or 3 days. Think about what exactly that candle is going to look like after it's sat somewhere for a few days. So it's something that if you can run a test run, if you can send it off a little distance and kind of see how your packaging is going to hold up, it will save you a lot of headache in between. As a small business, you are not Amazon and you are not the Gap. Guys, you cannot sit and take back product and product and product and then send them out replacements over and over again. If I have a customer that has had to complain to me more than once, there is something in my process that I need to go back and evaluate. That is the type of feedback that you absolutely want. You want your client to feel as though they can come in and they can say anything. What other questions do we have this morning? Anybody else? I see Miss Angel. Oh, I've seen a lot of candles that kind of make me nervous. I had a young lady who was triple wicking one of the square containers from Dollar Tree because she had been taught that all candles should be triple wicked. And I don't know who told her that, but they disrespectful, y'all. Baby girl had 3 CD8 wicks in a jar that was probably maybe 4 inches in diameter at the most. And when I tell you her burn test, I think lasted less than 2 hours. It went through that wax, got to the bottom of the jar. And when she turned around, it just dead at the bottom. And so she was assuming, oh, I'm done with Dollar Tree. I'll never buy their vessels again. And I'm like, baby, Dollar Tree has some heavy vessels. I'm going to be honest. There's some glass that comes out of Dollar Tree that is extremely heavy. And quite a bit of it is heat resistant. But you've also got to be very mindful of the power of a wick and the power of a wooden wick as well. Well, last but not least, before I hop off this morning, if nobody else has any questions for me, if you will see in the description, as well as right now, I'm gonna announce the Candle Academy. So BCJ Decor, I've received a lot of feedback and questions just about how to get started and what to get started doing. And so what we've done is went in and created a kit for you. There are a lot of you guys that are in supplier deserts, is how I refer to them. And I hate to see people have to buy 10 pounds, 55 pounds of wax just to test it out and figure out that you don't love it. So what I've done is the kit that comes with the Candle Academy for our basic starters is it's going to come with 4 different types of wax. You'll receive 1 pound each. You will receive the jars, the tins, the wicks, the fragrance oil, the pouring pots, everything that goes with it, down to the wick holders. The Candle Academy will also include 2 live module classes. You will be placed into a private Facebook group, and then we'll have bi-weekly chats and talks as well. So one of those, there's also a membership in there if you want to go more into wholesale pricing, private label pricing, getting into retail, being able to list on Etsy, Amazon, Handmade, or Walmart's marketplace. Looking at alternatives for shipping beyond Pirate Ship or Plinko, or there's so many for you to kind of go through. And then, of course, there's another series that's just about taking care of yourself. Some of you have got to slow down. You've got to take a break. You really need to work in an off day. Guys, 1 to 2 days a week, I do not come to my workroom. I actually come home, cook dinner, and get in bed. And my kids have just been programmed that there are some days mom's going to have a really early day. So you've got to step away as well. If you know someone that can benefit from this video, if you know anyone that has a question, y'all reach out to them, share the information. And if you can't, we will all figure it out. If there's a suggestion that you have for me, if there's a topic you want to hear, definitely let me know. Last but not least, out of my 12 people, I want you to comment with your favorite color. I want to make or do a giveaway. So I'm going to do a giveaway. It's one of those things. And let me show you an example. So for everyone that is currently on the live, I want you to comment with your favorite color, and I'm going to select one of those comments, and you will receive a customized tumbler with your business name on it. And so you will have a choice between a peekaboo style. I told y'all we're always working on some other project. Or you can have your zip code or name added. If you're not a glitter person and you just like the powder coated look, we can do one of those as well. So before you leave me this morning, if you would comment with your favorite color, I will select one of those and you will get to pick your style, your custom color, and what you would like to have placed on your particular tumbler. And we will work that one out. It will take me roughly about a week to get your tumbler up. And then I will definitely do some pictures, post it in the group, and then mail that one out. Oh, we got a lot of pink lovers in here. Y'all some pink people. Pink is that color, huh? So be sure to comment. Let me know if you have any questions. Check out the website. Leave some links, guys. You're going to see me post throughout the week. Remember, when it comes to Instagram, engagement is important. You want to reach out to people who are not in your industry as well. So for every one candle person you reach, I want you to try to reach 3 people who are not in the candle industry, and we will see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.